All right, let's get this party started. Tuesday, April 14th. 2 minutes until the cash open. Pretty exciting markets these days, let me tell you. Quite a move we had yesterday, but structurally, this is not good. We really have no frame of reference up here for ledges and edges to trade from. This distribution created right here towards the top at 6925, which happened at the close yesterday. I mean, you got to discount that structure. It's all market on close orders. So, I mean, structurally, like, where's the best spot? I mean, it's all the way down here at 6905. And this morning with the PPI news release, we've seen a ton of absorption at the 940s. So, I mean, I've already considered putting some contracts on the short side up at 6941 before things even got started, just because the massive amount of absorption we've had up here. But I want the US cash session to confirm this. All right, I want to see during the US Open that we test higher, get tons of absorption, volume comes in, pushes prices lower, and then we'll get behind it. So that is the thesis for this morning. But we could be wrong, and the market's been pretty strong on some news events and some news headlines. But again, structurally, like, yeah, we don't have any balanced range up here. So the market's kind of going to be fishing around looking for that balance, because it's been a while since we've traded up in this area. So we'll see what the market gives us. Don't want to get too eager to take on positions. But I mean, ideally, I want to see the market come up right at the open, start testing these highs of 6942, 43, get it absorbed and push back down. Let's see what the imbalance was. It's not out yet. So let's start zooming in here. We kind of know what we're looking at. So where the volume comes in, are we pushing down price? Yeah, I mean, we kind of are. Yeah, like, I almost already want to start with one contract here, or at least one position. The volume here is kind of holding up price a little bit. I want to see some more definitive absorption up here in 4.2, 4.3s, where price moves up and then just gets shot right back down on heavy volume. No more economic releases this morning, so we're clear of news events. I think the IMF has got some stuff going on today, but hopefully I don't think that'll have much impact on US markets. So the volume coming in here, still kind of neutral for the moment. It was holding up price, but now it's pushing the price down. All right. Like, I'm willing to put a little bit on here at 940 and a quarter. And we'll put a stop up at 960 and a quarter, just as catastrophic. Might have been too early before we saw definitive divergence, but we're a long ways away. Yeah, so just quarter position. Just because of what we've seen pre-market and what this market is kind of doing right here at the open. I mean, we're kind of struggling to get up here. I mean, and structurally, we got this huge gap in the RTH sessions. Like there's just not a lot of good structure. Like this is just so broken. There's no good balance areas. See how down here we develop some balance areas where there's agreement in price and then market lifts? Like just lifting when there's nothing to lift from is usually trouble. And so we're in quarter position at 940 and a quarter. Stops at 960 and a quarter. So all the way up here. It's just a catastrophic, like if some crazy news event comes out, it'll stop out. I mean, it's just a quarter position. We don't have any weight on yet. I want to see more definitive proof that sellers are willing to absorb here before we add to this. All right, because volume is just lifting price. All right, it lifted it here, it lifted here. And we haven't seen any major sellers come in yet. There's been no huge orders coming in yet. Nothing over 100 contracts. Volume at 930 with the 15,000 contracts is pretty decent. Volume's tapered off a little bit, but volume that comes in is still lifting price. So just a little quarter position. But I want to see signs of divergence up here because the market was struggling to get above this area all morning. Even with the news release, it spiked above and then just quickly was absorbed. But I mean, we could easily just wick the high and come right back down. But I want to see us run out of volume up here. I want to see divergence, and I want to see when the volume comes in that it pushes price lower. Just not getting it. Got some absorption right there. Yeah, the big contracts came in at 47 and 45.50. So right here, and then right here. So we'll see if the price holds above here. All right, yeah, that's, I mean, for this quarter position, it's not looking good. Kind of just want to, I'll give it a little more wiggle room. But if volume keeps on lifting price, I mean, just exiting the quarter position for small loss is fine. All right, more big size at 950. Like you don't want to see it closing above these little volume nodes right here. All right, especially when it's so rounded. Like now you're seeing the seller step in a little bit. Maybe 45 and 55 and a half. All right, so I'm in at 50, was able to hold below this. Again, flashes of the seller divergence, nothing too crazy. All right. So I would think if sellers were stepping in, they would be stepping in right now. Right at this high from the news release. Like if you're gonna sell, you're gonna sell it right now. If we start pushing below here, this volume distribution here, this volume that's coming in, if this pushes price lower, we'll add. If it doesn't, we need to get rid of our quarter position because I don't think our trade thesis will be good anymore. All right, I'm starting to get the impression that it's not good. Yeah, I'm gonna limit buy at 49.50. Yeah, it's just gonna get way out of hand too quickly. Yeah, the sellers just absolutely disappeared. That the sell absorption pre-market was just nothing. That was just done on low volume and no liquidity. Once the liquidity come in, it's just absolutely just disappeared. And I don't just want to keep on selling and hope that it just comes down. I mean, this market can remain irrational longer than we can remain solvent. So there's no sense in trying to fight this, right? We just have a quarter position long. It's a very small position. I'll probably put it at 51 now. Yeah. So limit buy at 951 right here. Because the volume's just lifting price. Every time a large volume comes in, it just lifts the price. All right, even here, volume comes in and the price is just still staying above it. So I'm really just hoping to get out on a slight rotation lower. But like no true signs of like buyers being super aggressive here. So I mean, the market could just be fishing around today, trying to find balance up here because we're just absolutely in the middle of no man's land and poor structure. So maybe it's just going to try to create this structure up here. All right, so now I'm going to move my stop to 55. So I pulled 51, and we'll put the stop at 955 right here. Just in case like this is the top of this distribution and we're going to try to find balance lower. Right, what I don't want to see, if I see volume come in and lift price, like heavy volume come in and lift price, then I'll just exit the quarter long that we still got going. But so long as this volume's moving with me, and again, we moved the stop down to 55. All right, so you see this volume coming in, it's just lifting price. Yeah, we'll be stopped out for sure at 55. Get ready to update my log. Bow, chicka, bow, bow. 6955. And we're dragging value higher. No sign of buyer absorption up here yet or anything. So I don't want to just flip and go long here. So we'll just let the market take us out at 955. And this volume that's coming in here is absorbing. It should have been like 955 and a quarter. All right, so we're stopped out on their quarter long. Very small position. We'll see what happens up here. I mean, this looks like it's getting absorbed. They're trying to buy into this and they're just not going. And we might have literally just gotten stopped out to the tick. There was a large limit order here on MES at least. All right, and so now you're seeing the signs of the absorption, right? So like I'm almost willing to re-engage on a quarter position here. All right, now we got a much better price based off this range. So in at 952 on a quarter position. And we'll do 962, just make it easy. Jeez. Yeah, I mean, we're going to get stopped out, right? Oh, it's terrible. I'm just not reading the market for what it is. I want to go short, but this market is being very persistent. All the volume that's coming in is just lifting the price. It is so dumb. I'm trying to short this. You silly, silly, silly. $9.42. This is why we're keeping things small, because we don't really have a lot of conviction in these trades at the moment. So 6952, two positions, 6962, keeping it small. Keeping it small. because we're just not reading it. I mean, the buyers coming in and they're lifting the price. All the big size has been on the long side again, right? Just like you want to flip and go long. But I don't want to do it right here. Yeah, we got faked out right here with this. It's 939 move. Yeah, still no strong sign of sellers. Right. I mean, they step in, but it's reactionary, and they're not taking the initiative to push prices lower. They just react. Just put a limit at 5.6 to get out. See if the market rotates down. Probably not going to. Yeah, more just large size coming in on the buy side. So we'll bracket it. Feel like I'm just trying to impose my will upon the market here a little bit. Just because I see poor structure below us, I think the market automatically is going to go back down there. The order flow is not telling us that this morning. While large contracts or large transactions are on the buy side, every time the volume comes in, it just lifts price, right? And there's been no sign of seller absorption, like whatsoever. $75. So limit order 55.75 and 962. I mean, it should be 5.7. All right. I would think it should be 5.7. Bam, chicka, bam, bam. And put it at 5.7. Try to get out. Get out on a rotation down, hopefully. It's 6.957, hopefully. Yeah, there we go. All right, so got out of our longs. I mean, out of our shorts. I wish I was long. No, we were doing the complete opposite thing of what the market was telling us to do. That's what we were doing. This is, again, the volume coming in. It's just all on the long side, right? Just like you got to start buying. Just look at all this volume that came in here, and we're just hanging above it. So we'll get in. Ended up buying a half position. Probably didn't want to do that, but 5.0 stop. And 7 long at 6.960 at 6.950 for half position. Okay. I only wanted to buy a quarter, but I ended up double clicking, and I'm okay with it. I want to see buyers step in a meaningful way here. I mean, the pressure on the shorts is just going to be incredible. Sellers coming in, trying to hold things down. Again, want volume to come in and lift price. Which that's a good sign right there. 582, it comes in and lifts price. Anytime you see big jumps in the volume at a certain price, you want to lift in price in your general direction of trade. So you'd like to see it close above that 501 if you can. Because more volume's coming in up here. It's holding price. It's not exactly suppressing price, which is a good sign. But we're not going to, because of this structure, we can't go full long here. I'm okay with a half position. If it maybe comes down to 6950 area, where we're kind of like proposing we'll get out at, I would contemplate adding the second half of the position for the long. Because even with this slow decrease down, right? Sellers aren't really stepping in aggressively up here at all. There's no signs of divergence, right? All large transactions have been on the buy side. There's been nothing over 100 contracts on the sell side yet this morning. You're seeing the buyer step in at 5.5. So I'm willing to let our long at 960 for a half position and just play out a little bit. But if we come down here towards like the POC and we can get even more buyer resistance, yeah, we go full long. But again, the market's going to be fishing for balance somewhere. This could be just the end of the balance range for the day. All right, this is the low of it somewhere in here, and the 955s to the 950s somewhere in here, but we still have yet to really kind of find the high. Like you need to see more signs of seller absorption to really know where we're at. But a 217 divergence is, is pretty decent. So there was some seller aggression here, and then buyers gladly stepped in and absorbed it. Got to keep the news open these days. You never know what's going to hit the wires. All right, and this could turn into a situation like we had yesterday where we're kind of in a situation where we're long at not a great price. And so then it turns into a scalp because we don't think the range is going to extend far beyond our entry. Yeah, I don't see any breaking news or anything. That's good. Maybe what you want to see is just like a quick pop of 960. You don't want to see a slow bleed up. You want a quick pop. So we'll see what we got here. Right. Just structurally, I wanted to be short this morning with that gap being there. And the MOC distribution here at 920 to 925, it's weak. It's weak structurally. It's not a good foundation in which to trade from. And so now the market's fishing for balance. So initially the trade thesis was, yeah, probably short because it's going to want to fill in somewhere around 900 and find some balance. But the order flow this morning has not told us that. Like we finally had the first 100 contract transaction on the sell side at 6958. It just finally happened at 950. But we want to see continued divergence here at 955. Like it stops at 950, which is not great because I could see us coming down here and this being like the lower ledge of balance right here at 950, possibly even 947, right? Because you kind of see less volume, more volume, even more volume. Like it's going to distribute in one way or the other. Ideally, 955 is the bottom. And then the upper range is somewhere at 970 up here, something like that. But we're getting way ahead of ourselves to be saying like that's going to potentially even be occurring. Because right now you're finding a little bit of balance around 958. Buyers and sellers are happy to keep price here. Decent volumes, 3,000 contracts per minute. It's not gangbusters. Some workmen across the street pulling out a ladder. So I try to keep the headphones so that stuff like that doesn't distract me. Yeah, I just don't want to load up any more positions at this price. Right, because the more positions I load up, the more I have to tighten my stop to keep the risk the same. So only a half position long at a terrible price at 960. We're literally in right at the highs. But I like how we come into this low volume area and the volume that just immediately comes in lifts price. So like I'm not looking to exit longs here. Definitely don't want to short this, but whether or not you would want to buy longs here would be the question. There's no sign of seller absorption, right? Sellers aren't being aggressive at all here. Like they're willing to meet buyer demand, but they're not willing to put extra on. All right, again, the volume again, that low volume area, lifting the price a little bit. It's a good sign. Ideally, this is where you would want to have your first quarter position. It would be right here at 956.5. I mean, all this volume is keeping the price up right here. All this volume at the bottom end of this little small distribution is lifting price. And we're slowly diminishing in volume as this goes on. So price eventually will leave here. Once the market feels like we've transacted everything we've got to transact here, the price will leave. More flashes of buyer divergence. So sellers step in, buyers are taking the bids. I mean, now you just want to see the seller snap if you can. See, no signs of permanent divergence yet here on the behalf of sellers. We have a pretty weak long here. And we have a half position on the missed double click, but we let it ride. All right, I would prefer only to have a quarter position here. But then load up more at 55 and then maybe at 950, and then that would be it. I mean, part of me is entertaining, just trying to get maybe part of it out at 58, just because we're in such a balanced range. But I don't want to, just because of what I'm seeing. I mean, this is neither bearish. I mean, it's more bullish than it is bearish, just because of what we've done. All right, this wasn't a come up and then an immediate rejection. It was, we came up and now we found balance, and there is some divergent buyers here at 955. And we've had pretty persistent negative deltas here. And just, price, it just doesn't go down because the sellers don't follow through. It's just reactive selling. And we want to see the volume come in at 956 and lift price. I mean, this is a pretty strong ledge we're dealing with now. Volume is just diminishing here. 2,300, 2,600. If it gets down below 2,000 per any 1 minute, like price leaves immediately thereafter. So you'll still be looking at about 2,000 here, looks like. But yeah, the market is just auctioning around 957 now. Trying to fill in a little less bits of volume. I mean, now you're getting the flashes of the seller divergence. But I still think for the most part that buyers have the upper hand. That's why I'm not like eager to drop this down to a quarter position from the half position that we have long right here. Like if we break above 960 and then it fails and immediately comes and rotates back down towards 959, 960, then I would think about exiting at least quarter position, if not the full half. But as where things stand right now, we're neither bearish nor bullish, but we do have a half position long, and I lean more bullish than bearish. Just because of what the order flow told me. And there has been no, other than the one large sell at 958, right? At 950. So 10 minutes ago, there hasn't been anything else. There's been no large sells up here. And we've seen nothing but large buys this morning. And they bought all the way up, starting at 945 and a half, and all the way up to 960. 960 was the last big buy. And as now we're seeing like an increase in the volume. As the volume picks up, like we want to see a lift in price. No, you're not really doing that. Yeah, more signs of seller divergence up here. Yeah, that's not ideal. Maybe trim it to the quarter, right? Because that's a lot of volume that just came in right there and just pushed price right back down. And now we're getting two flashes of divergence. We're not getting any flashes of buyer divergence willing to take this higher. That's supposed to be 4. So just leaving it as is. Not much to do here. Just wait and watch. I mean, you're getting a lot more volume to come in now, right? You just had the big pickup in volumes here, and then the delta kind of flipped. I mean, that's encouraging if we want to be long. Or now you get some huge breakout here. I don't know. I don't think so. But we're just leaving our longs alone at 960. This is a very tight range that we're in right now. There's a lot of volume in a very tight range. Buyers willing to step in at slightly higher prices, not a ton of divergence, but I mean, there's something. So that's good. I mean, just stay long. Do not short this. I don't think this is a short yet. I think the narrative is still very much long based off the order flow, the large orders where we've balanced. Sellers have stepped in only a reactive capacity and have not taken the initiative to drive prices lower. So, I mean, just stay with the longs here. I wish my long was at 955 or 955 and a half. That was a better spot. But I think it was more the large order at 960 that came in on the buy side. That convinced me like even being long at 960, we're probably okay. But it does kind of create an adverse stop in that our stop is at 950, which is kind of like right on the ledge of where I would think like you could still be long. Right, this 950 ledge right here, right? Because prices earlier in the morning dipped right at 940 and got bought up at 950. So if price gets down there again, there's very strong potential that it gets bought up again. But now we're just sitting in this very tight balance range with not a whole lot going on. Still remains encouraging when the large volume comes in, price stays above it. I think we've just balanced here. Find the rest of the remaining liquidity, and then price will move higher to find more. I don't know if it'll move lower. It doesn't look like it. But I mean, it's just a very, very tight balanced range right here. Highs at 960s, lows at 955. This is compression with no resolution just yet. But you do like that you're seeing the flashes of divergence higher, right? And it's more repetitive than you're seeing on the sell side. So the bullish narrative remains. I don't want to increase my position to full position because just because of the structure of all of this. This is an MLC ledge here. This isn't good structure. You have this gap off of nothing. So like all of this area is no man's land, right? There's no structure to get behind until you get down to 905. That's why I feel like being long here at 960 is kind of precarious, half position at most. All right, and now you're getting flashes of strong seller divergence there. So there was a heavy seller there. But someone just bought again at 960. And that one kind of got absorbed. So twice we've had very large contracts transact at 960 and price has not been able to extend above it. I mean, it's one thing to absorb the offers here if you're a seller. It's another thing to follow price lower, which they're not doing. So you finally get a small break above. Like, again, we wanted kind of a fast snap, not like a slow extension of the range. Because if it's a slow extension of the range, that means we're probably finding balance somewhere in this region today. Like price will just gyrate back and forth for the remainder of the day. Right? If we don't get a quick snap up here, which it doesn't look like we're really getting. And in terms of target, we don't really have, there's no structure up here to target. Right? So this is going to be purely an order flow exit. And because we're not like really snapping up, this is just like very heavy here. Like this is heavy absorption here. Like, so that's a lot of contraction. We're not really moving above it. Like, that's not a great sign. But again, our sellers following through when they absorb the offers, not really. There's no quick snap down. There's no quick snap rejection. Right. The candle wicks are still, if you look at this like a candle wick, right, they're still kind of favorable based off where the size comes in, right? All this size in here lifts price. This size right here, like it holds price, doesn't necessarily quickly reject price. And that's what we're kind of looking for right now. Right. Like, but this slow extension, like, is pretty precarious. Like, I want to see more. So we got some more size at 963 on the buy side. Again, flashes of buyer divergence. Yeah, I mean, it's just the worrisome thing right now is the slow extension of this, right? We're going up, but we're just like, so more size coming in, 64 and a quarter, 65s. All right, so people are buying this. I mean, I'm kind of willing to move my stop to break even. Yeah, I think we're okay moving our stop to break even. I'll actually move it to 96 and a quarter. Yeah. On the full half position. Let's just protect some profits here. But I want some structure to form. I want a low volume area to develop that I can hide stops behind and possibly even add the full position. Right, but I need some structure to do that. All right, there's got to be like a volume ledge or something somewhere. And if we get stopped out at 960 and a quarter, we get stopped out at 960 and a quarter. But I mean, there was buyers at 964 and a quarter. There was buyers at 963. There's buyers at 965. Like, there's large size in here that should hopefully hold price. All right, and you still see no signs of seller divergence here. This order flow is just remains bullish. Again, this is the order flow overriding like the narrative for the day. All right, the narrative was originally like, yeah, we're probably too far extended, poor structure below us. I lean bearish. And so we did for a quarter position, but then it just didn't play out. And then we sold out to a half position long because the order flow is just telling us like, you need to be long this, not short this. I mean, we see, if we start to see more big size coming in, that'd be great. But the last big size that came in was at 965. I think it was right here at 1009. Yep. All the volume still holding up price for the most part. So more size coming in at 966 and a quarter. Right here. And on the buy side, it's all been buy side today. There's only been one large contract sell that hit the bid. That was at 950 this morning. So a lot of volume right here. It held price. I don't want to add any more to this just yet. Because structurally, we haven't like really set an area other than 960, the top of this ledge, which is now where our stop is. All right, but if we added more structure up here, like if we create like a low, if we just range right here, right, and we create some structure to get behind right here, like 963s, then we can add up here and go long again, right? Because there's, again, no large transactions over 100 contracts up here on the sell side. It's still all on the buy side. Pretty much every time the volume comes in, it holds up the price. We see more flashes of the buyers coming in, but structurally, there's not a position for me to add more to this. Everything is still screams bullish. All this order flow still screams bullish. That's not to say at any time sellers can just be like, oh, this is my price. This is where I'm holding the line. And then they hold the line. But it's whether or not they can continue and follow through. So pushing higher, good high volume. Little structure here at 963, it looks like. All right, I'm going to move my stop up to 962 on the full half position. But until I still see order flow that contradicts this trade, I'm not going to really do anything. And maybe I'll exit half at 963. But I'm content on just letting this half position run long until we get some structure that I can potentially add or something. I don't know. But I'll move my stop now to 963 for the whole position. $966 is still, everyone's still buying. 966 and a quarter was the last large transaction. I want to see him do it more. And this is the same thing that happened yesterday. We had a bearish narrative going into the day just based on like news flow and kind of where we were structurally, but then the news flow changed. There was heavy buying. So I want to trail half this position at least. Last big order was 970 and a half and then 966 and a quarter. So we'll do 966 on at least half of it, and then we'll just do the other half at 964 stop. I don't have a target. This is a part of the problem when you don't have structure to trade behind. It's like, what am I targeting? Right. So now you have large sells coming in at 6,970. So maybe we just sell some at 6,970. Let's see if we get a fill on 6,970. This is actually at 6,969 and 3/4. I'm willing to take some off at 6,970 and then leave the rest stopped at 966. All right, so we're out at 970 on a quarter of it. Just because we have the large sell come in. So this could be the area where you balance. But we'll leave a quarter on. So we got a quarter out at 6,970. And then the rest is stopped out at 966 down here, which is just really hiding behind two larger orders. But hopefully buyers step in before then. No reason to add. We took a quarter off at 970 with the primary reason that sellers have now stepped in a little bit. And there was a large sell here at 970. So just taking some profits there. Still have a quarter position on. And we could break 970. And if we do, just we're going to let the quarter run. We're going to be a little more lax probably with the trail and the stop on this last quarter. Because if this wants to run today, you got to let it run. Will this be a lesson as to you always got to let the order flow dictate which way you trade? And everything about this order flow this morning, like pretty much right off the bat, was screaming bullish, and we tried to fight it a little bit at the beginning, but I mean, every time the volume came in, it just lifted price. So now we have another large transaction at 971 on the buy side. Well, price doesn't seem to be holding it. Creating a little structure here at 967. I mean, if this is strong bullishness, you're going to see resistance here at like 68, the high 67s. So a stop at 66 is good here. It's not too aggressive. You got the little flip down there. If price closes back above this here at like 69, that's pretty bullish. But if you stay down here, that's a little bit of a bearish sign. I don't see any news headlines or anything. Bow, chicka, bow, bow. So, I mean, we've had a halfway decent morning, even though we were in the wrong direction in the first two partials. I mean, but they were quarter partials because the narrative wasn't very strong. So we took small losses on those and then had a half position long. That turned out to be okay. Just any day that we can make profit is a good day. Sellers willing to step in a little bit lower here. We've only seen the flashes of the divergence, nothing that's truly held. And again, like the sellers willing to step in with limit orders and just absorb some buys is one thing, but them stepping in and selling at lower prices and hitting the bid, completely different thing. And it doesn't look like they're willing to come in and hit the bid. I mean, why would you? All this flow has been positive. Now we had another large sell at 968.25. So there's more activity on the sell side up here. There's definitely more activity. The question is, how aggressive do buyers want to be and keep on getting worse and worse fills, and by extending these prices higher and higher? But we still have a quarter position long. Stop at 966 and no real target until the order flow tells me I need to get out of it. We got part of it out. We got a quarter of the position out at 970. We might get all of it out at 970. I don't know yet. And until you see a sign that sellers are willing to actually step in and hit the bid, I'm okay with the slow grind higher on a quarter position. Absolutely. We got long in at 960. It's been decent volume up here. I mean, we're starting to dwindle a little bit. We're getting around 2,000 contracts per minute. It's pretty low. It's pretty anemic. But no one's really, I mean, compared to yesterday's absorption, right? There was lots of absorption. Right, 860s, and then broke the 860s, and then it came back down, tested the 850s, and then you broke the 850s, resisted 890s, and then 880s held. Right, but compared to today, no signs of like absorption either on the other side, either side, other than down at 955 on behalf of buyers, and that was it. That was it. We're starting to round here a little bit. But buyers are stepping in at high prices. You're getting flashes of divergence, which, I mean, again, continues to be good for the long narrative. I don't know how much more we're going to get out of this market today. We're up 0.75%. Crude is down almost 6%, so that's good. That's bullish for equities. And again, the stop at 966, I think, is perfect right now. Unless we think this is the top of the distribution for right now today, and then we should just be limit order exiting at 971 right now. But because I don't see heavy flashes of seller divergence, I don't see sellers really stepping in to push things lower here, I'm not exiting just yet. But just the way it's looking from the distribution, we're getting, it's so hard to see it on the daily distribution, but if you look at it on the weekly distribution, it looks a little bit cleaner. This structure up here, I mean, this could be the top for the day, right? Absent any other news headlines or anything. Which is just not there. Neighbors across the street are getting like new shutters. I think I said gutters, but they're getting new shutters. I need new shutters too. A little influx of volume lifted price. We got a little more activity, more volume picked up. We were getting close to 2,000, and then this picked up. We got 4,000 here. So 2,000 up here, 4,000 right here. And the last time you were down here, you only got 2,000. I don't want to add anything up here. I mean, again, structurally, we're pretty weak. And then we took profits at 970. Another big sell up here. At 69 and a half. Pretty big sell came in. So we now had 3 big sells starting at 1015. 1015, 1018, and 1024, all around the same price, 69. So right here. And it looks like they're getting absorbed. We're seeing buy absorption. You keep doing that, large orders come in and sell, and the price doesn't go anywhere. There's no absolute follow through. I mean, shit. Then we almost want to add the half back on. But right now, I'm just going to let the quarter sit. Good stop at 66, right? Because you have to break the buyer divergence now. And they've shown that they're willing to step in around 69, 68s. So 69 and 68s don't hold, and you get stopped at 66. Perfect. All right, which might happen literally as we're talking about it. I mean, similar situation to this lower volume distribution, right? Where you have the persistent negative deltas and price just doesn't go anywhere. It just consolidates, right? And you're getting that here, negative deltas and prices isn't going anywhere. It's just consolidating, creating a balanced distribution. All the absorption's been on the buy side. You haven't seen any absorption on the sell side. This still remains a bullish thesis right now. So we'll keep the quarter position on for now until order flow tells us that we need to do something different. And I think our stop structurally is in a good spot based off this distribution right here and the fact that you have buy side absorption. But could all go wrong in just a moment, right? A news headline comes out, guy gets off the toilet, hits the sell button, screws our trade. Any of that can happen, and that's fine. I mean, unless I see sellers like really hammering things here, I'm not gonna just limit exit here. I'm not gonna add. All right, this is the beauty of doing this in positions rather than an all or nothing thing. You can like let parts of this wiggle a little bit. You can be strict with some parts of your trade, but then you can allow some wiggle room with the other parts of your trade and just allow the order flow to tell you what you should be doing with your pieces. Can't read what that says. There you go. YouTube's. So still in a quarter of our position that was long at 960. Still waiting to see if we get another break higher on this last quarter position, which I mean, at the moment, it looks like you're gonna get no aggression on behalf of sellers here. I seriously want to go ask that guy next door if he wants to do my shutters too, real quick. It's like I have all these things on my list that I just never really get to. So last big sell was at 1024 at 69.5. That price is still holding above it. So another buy just came in at 71.75. See if price can hold above it or if it's just absorbed. And these are some pretty big numbers up here at the highs. Like 1,000, you're just not getting above it. That's not a great sign. All right, that's just pure absorption right there. All right, all 320 on one side. Like, gee, if you break that though, yeah, that's not ideal. That's a lot of absorption there. But buyers are willing to step in. You got to break this now. There's your line in the sand right there. Absolutely. Look at all that volume that got transacted at just one single tick. Yeah, that increases the likelihood that I just put like a limit order in here and just get out of this last quarter position. Again, a bunch of news coming in. Treasury Secretary Bessent. I guess he just released his talking points. There's a whole flurry of headlines came in. Not going to read them. Doesn't matter. And again, at the line in the sand. I mean, sellers, they're not pushing, and they're gladly absorbing the market buys here, right? But they're not pushing back and hitting the bid. Once they start hitting, if we see this, what's happening, and then they start hitting the bid, we got to just exit the last quarter of our position here and just be done with it. But still no large sells here, right? They're absorbing it, but they're not hitting the bid. So flashes divergence on the buy side, but we're just held up here at 971.25 or 3/4. This is such big size here. This is so big. You break it, you'll probably get a pop. But I mean, this was all just like single contract. I mean, no large size single transaction was in here. There's all the little pieces added up, and still, you're still fucking just hitting this. Someone is really happy to sell at 971.75 here. But you see buyer divergence stepping in higher. That is still a good sign, even though we're at this absolutely absorption level here that we can't get beyond at the moment. I would like to get a little more out of this trade if we can. Stop is still at 66. I'm not moving that from there. Just based off this structure here of where we could go, we can easily come down to 968s and hold. But if 68, 69s break, then this trade is done. We will just take the last piece off at 66. I mean, we can make an argument for 67. Can we make an argument for 67? You could, but I'm not going to. And that's why we trade in parcels, so we can be a little more flexible with parts of our trade. Right, and just not an all or nothing type of deal. I mean, the fact that prices not just dropped from this 971 3/4, it wasn't like a very quick rejection, is bullish. It leans bullish. But you got to break that level. That is such a heavy ledge now. Structurally, like that's crazy. You don't see this very often. Or someone is just on the very single price, just keeps on selling the holding price down. It's like, how much are they willing to sell? And then buyers keep on going in. Like, are you sure you got a little more? You got a little more? Because we're buying here. You're still selling at the same exact price. It's kind of crazy. We put in 10% section 122 tariffs. President has not opted to lift that rate to 15% at this point in time. Our fucking tariff talk. Yeah, these markets are just driven by news lately because there's so much news. News on Iran, news on tariffs, news on everything. So here we are in just an upper balanced range. No big size on behalf of sellers. Board is still very much green this whole way up. Last big buy was at 971 in that 3/4. That's just got absorbed. And we'll see if the absorption up here just continues. Here we are at 971 and 3/4. Just continue. All right, some big size, 971.5 on the sell side. I mean, you're trying to break it. There you go. You broke it. Jeez Louise, bro. What compression that was. I mean, my stop is now just going to be 970 or 69.5. Oh, that's only a piece. So 69.5. Because really the thesis now is this 971 and 3/4, right? Because there's so much compression and build up here. It took so long for buyers to break this. That if they come down, you would think they're going to want to hold this and not give 971 and 3/4 another chance to hold price lower. So this is now the ledge. So any break of this invalidates our trade. And 69.5. I mean, you can make the argument for 3/4. It's really anything below here. Like if you get any acceptance below here where price just gets below here and starts hanging out here, your trade's invalidated. At least being on the long side. And there's no reason to add another position here. This structure is just bananas. All right, the most we've done is a half position today, which is fine. I mean, I'll move the stop to 970. I mean, it's only a quarter of the position left. Again, I have no take profit. This is just a purely trailed quarter position that we have remaining. We took half off at 970. I mean, took a quarter off at 970 of the half position. And now we have a quarter remaining. I'm just waiting for sellers to step in and be aggressive. Once I see aggressiveness on behalf of sellers, we'll just cut the trade. But we still have yet to see that. We've seen them hold, but they're not pushing back. And those are two different things. All right, now you're seeing maybe the seller's willing to step in here. Like we gave up this ledge, now we're stepping in again. And are you sure you want to keep this going on, buyers? Like, because structurally you're way out here now. Last time we saw buyers step in was at 968. So our stop for the last quarter is at 970. because the thesis is 971 3/4 that this ledge would hold. If it doesn't hold, we're out at 970. But if this holds, then we'll keep trailing the top. So now you don't want to see a lot of volume building below this. And you don't want to see price hold down here. You want to see a reject and quickly reject. And it's not doing that. All right. So it looks like we kind of know where the sellers are stepping in. And they're holding the line a little bit firmer. It's 975s. But we closed right above that 971 3/4. And try it again. You get stopped out at 970 on this last quarter. We're fine. It was a pretty good trade. It worked out. Yeah, and then it flicked down and got us out. Even though ES didn't flip down yet. MES did and got us out. Make sure we got no more orders in. We're clean. Oh my gosh. That can't be right. The slippage on that was 1 3/4 of a point on MES. The stop was at 6970. It filled at 68 1/4. You fucking believe that? You fucking believe that? Like, unfucking believable. That's why I fucking hate trade debate or fucking slippage. Like, it's so fucking dumb. Almost a whole fucking full 2 points on fucking slippage. Like, fuck off, trade debate. You suck. This is why I hate fucking prop firms and having to use with shitty fucking brokers. Like, this shit doesn't happen in Thinkorswim and Schwab. Like, you get a little slippage, you'll get like a 1/4 point slippage, but you don't get fucking 2 points of it. Because their shit's not fucking whack. That's so fucking annoying. That's so fucking annoying. Jeez, Louise. Some math. Yeah, you know what? I'll fucking do it later. I want to do it right now. All right, well, this is a good time to use a restroom break because now I'm fucking mad at Trade and their goddamn slippage. What else is new? Yeah, more sellers came in. Yeah, that was a good time to get out anyway. You had more sellers coming in at 968 3/4, 971. Yeah, so sellers stepped in there. That's probably the top of the balance range for the day. It's probably up around 975. I don't know, based off the seller action, buyers weren't really willing to take a price much higher than this. I think this is the top of the range for the day, honestly. Oh. Yeah, now you're getting the seller diversions at this 971 3/4 ledge again, right? Buyers tried to take it above and they couldn't. It failed. So I got to imagine we're just going to fill in some part of this range today. And that'll be the end of it. No other news headlines coming in. Da, 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 da. Increase in oil price will reverse. Yeah, well, get Iran situated, then of course it'll reverse. You gotta get that situation sorted first, man. For sure. Oh, sure. So absolutely no reason to short this, to long this. Now it's just like that. The move has been done for the day, I think now. And I'm just glad that we saw that the flow was fighting our narrative and that we changed our opinion about which way we should be going. But yeah, the market is just so slow up here. There's not a whole lot to do. Yeah, I don't see today being the day that bulls fight this much higher. Like they've had a pretty good run over the last couple days. And now the situation is a little precarious because there's not very good balance and very good structure up here. Like we tried to balance around 957 ish right here on the weekly distribution, and now we're kind of up here at 970, and we're trying to balance here. But these are very small balance ranges, and the volume already here is already diminished. All right, this is a very low volume reads right here. You're close to 1,000. Well, usually when it gets below 2,000, you see a quick move out of this area. But I got to imagine price is not going to stay here very much longer unless someone comes in with a lot of size and holds it. But it looks like the auction is pretty much completed in this area. And because it's going to be now really tough for the bulls to extend this range because the structure is so poor. Like all I got to imagine if a seller steps in here with any bit of size, they can push prices just, probably back down here to 957s into this balanced range. This just doesn't seem very high probability being able to break out of this. Right? We've seen large transactions now happen here at 970 on the sell side, which was absent all morning until we got up to 970, and then big size started coming in on the sell side. But we'll see, because bulls look like they want to try to make another run here. Let's see if sellers come in and diverge price again. But just because this is very likely the high of the distribution for the day doesn't mean you short it. Right? Because it's just responsive selling. It's not initiative selling. We're not taking prices lower after the rejection. Right? They're just absorbing. They're not bidding. At least they're not hitting the bid. I mean, they're getting a little more volume here towards the top of this range. Had to pick up to 3,000 contracts in the minute. But it seems kind of slow up here. What time is it? 10:47. So the last big buy was at 10:40 at 969. On bottom of that small distribution there. There you go. Got another big buy at 975. 145 contracts. I mean, bulls, it's not for a lack of trying. They're trying. What time was the first trade that we took? I think it was before 9:35. Well, yeah, it was at 9:31. The big size didn't start coming in this morning until 9:35. and then just were absolutely bidding up the market. I feel like our 942 short was kind of dumb. There was good basis for 931, but I think the 942 short that we tried was just kind of dumb. Dumb. But it's because we had a narrative coming in, poor structure below us, lots of absorption pre-market, and just didn't hold post-market when that actually matters. When the cash session gets started, that's the absorption that matters. Overnight shouldn't be weighed as heavily as probably we did this morning, but it's okay. When we changed our opinion once the flow changed. Once we picked up on the flow change, we got long. That's a lot of absorption at the highs, but no large sells, no big size coming in to hit the bid. All right, that's just all taken of the offer. It's all absorption. Yeah, I definitely got to think this is the top of the range for today. Now the question becomes, where does the bottom settle at? Does the bottom settle at 967? Or do we just fill in this right here? Or does it create one larger distribution all the way down to 955 and fill all in this area around 965? I don't know. Too early to tell. But I think these highs up near 977 are pretty good. It's been a lot of absorption above 971 and 3/4. So definitely we're done trading for the day. There's no way we're really putting on any sort of position here. We're not shorting this. Because again, there's complete lack of initiation on behalf of sellers to take prices lower. They'll gladly accept the offer price, but they're not going to hit the bid and get a worse fill. They're not willing to do that. So it's not a sell and it's not a buy. It's a whole lot of nothing. This is exit longs if you have them. That's where you are right now in this market structure. But unless there's like a serious come down to like 965, 967 and a half, I would not even think about buying again. And you need to see some signs of absorption down there. And that's probably the next likely spot that you would see absorption. All right, I don't think the absorption up here holds. I really don't. But it could, because it's 971 and 3/4 is a pretty crazy ledge. There was a lot of absorption there. It's kind of become the line in the sand now. So again, flashes the buyer diversions up here at the highs. It's kind of crazy. People are still willing to buy all the way up here with all this poor structure, but they're still buying. Volume still lifts price. But structurally, you can't get long here, I don't think. And if you did, you better do it with very small size. All right, this is starting to look like the cleanliness of this ledge here. All right, this straight line you get down, I mean, that starts to look like a complete auction. All right, when the edges get very smooth like this, it generally represents a good finished complete auction. I mean, it represents a good high. It's not to say that things don't just bust out right here and right now. Did ES even hit 66? right? Our stop, what was our, no, it was at 970. We put it at 970. We moved it. Yeah. Man, these buyers are relentless today, folks. They're relentless. Mm. Well, I guess we can just conclude the stream. We're not going to really do anything crazy in the next 6 minutes. And plus, I wouldn't take a trade after 10:55 anyway, because my trades will never be over within 5 minutes, usually. Yeah, but I still think we're very close to the top of the range for the day. Yeah. All right. Well, hope everyone had a great Tuesday. Hopefully you made some profits as well. Good luck to y'all. God bless. Thank goodness spring is finally here, warmer temperatures. I was so sick of those winter. So hopefully warmer temperatures stick around. All right. Take care, everyone. I'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning.